Hey everyone, I'm Jiang. Yeah, thanks a lot for being here today at our executive planning day. I really appreciate you taking the time. So, what I want to do today is just go through a few things. Nothing too formal, just a simple briefing, hopefully useful, on some big economic topics. I mean, we're all kind of navigating through a lot right now, right? Markets shifting, tech stuff, costs going up, uncertainty everywhere. So, yeah, I'm going to touch on four areas that I think really affect the way we run our business. We'll talk a bit about the economy, um, trade wars, some weird human behaviors you'll see, and then, yeah, AI and what it's doing to jobs. Okay, let's get into it. Alright, so let's start off kinda broad with the business cycle. Now, when we're trying to figure out, like, where the economy is heading, there are three main things we usually look at. That's GDP, inflation, and unemployment. So, GDP goes up, that's good. People are spending, businesses are investing, confidence is there. But if inflation's rising too fast, yeah, money loses value, prices jump, and people start holding back. And if unemployment is high, well, obviously, folks don't have income and demand drops. It all ties together. Let me walk you through kinda what we've seen. From 2016 to 2019, things were pretty steady. Then boom, 2020, COVID hit, GDP crashed, unemployment shot up, inflation almost disappeared. 2021, 2022, things picked back up, quick rebound. But then inflation spiked, like over 6%. So yeah, the Reserve Bank started hiking interest rates to slow it all down. By 2023 and 2024, growth cooled again. Inflation eased a bit, but, things still felt uncertain. So, why do I bring this up? Because all of this, it's like signals. It helps us decide when to invest, when to slow down, how to set prices, when to hire. It's like driving at night. And these are our headlights. Okay, next one. Let's talk about tariffs and trade wars. Sounds a bit far off, yeah? But honestly, it hits closer than you'd think. So when the US slapped tariffs on Aussie exports, like mining stuff, it had a real impact. Mining exports dropped. I think it was about 12%. GDP slipped, inflation fell, and people started getting nervous about a slowdown. Now, in the US, things looked a bit different. Tariffs made imports more expensive, so inflation went up, nearly 4%. But production didn't keep pace. That's what economists call stagflation. It's messy, rising prices, falling output, not a great combo. But here's the thing, and this is important. Even if we're not directly exporting to the US, those trade tensions, they mess with everything. Supply chains get tangled, costs go up, delivery times stretch out, and planning gets harder. So, yeah, global trade isn't just something in the news. It matters for our bottom line, for how we operate, for how confident we can be in what's next. Alright, shifting gears now, let me ask you something. Have you ever said, yeah, I'm gonna eat healthy today, and then, like, 10 minutes later, you're ordering fries? Yep, same. So that's where behavioral economics comes in. Basically, it explains why we don't always do what we say we want to do. There's this thing called present bias. We want the reward now, even if it's worse in the long run. And then there's the framing effect, like how the choice is shown to us. Ads, menus, labels, all of that changes what we pick. A study showed that even when 62% of people wanted to eat healthy, 68% still chose the unhealthy option. It's not just about discipline, it's how we're wired. And why does this matter? Well, same thing happens in business. Customers don't always buy what's best. Employees don't always follow what's most logical. So if we want better outcomes, we've got to make the better choice easier. Alright, so this slide shows us how traditional economics and behavioral economics look at human decision making pretty differently. Let's start with the traditional side. It kinda assumes people are fully rational, like we always think carefully, weigh every option, and make the best decision, right? We're seen as stable and consistent, meaning our preferences don't change, and if you give people enough info or education, the assumption is they'll naturally make smarter choices, even with risk. Traditional economics says we calculate everything, like probabilities, expected outcomes, you know, very logical. But honestly, we don't always work that way. That's where behavioral economics comes in. It says, hey, people try their best, but we've got limits. We're what they call boundedly rational. We don't have unlimited time or brain power. We often rely on shortcuts, what we call heuristics, like gut feeling, habit, or guesswork. And our choices, they change depending on the situation, like what's around us, how things are framed, or even how we're feeling that day. So instead of just giving more information, behavioral economists say, let's nudge people, small changes that make the better option easier to take without forcing it. So yeah, traditional economics thinks we're like calculators. Behavioral economics knows we're human. And that's the kind of thinking that helps us design better decisions in business and in life. Alright, last one, big one. Let's talk about AI and jobs. So yeah, this isn't science fiction anymore. It's here. It's already changing how we work. Let's start with the lower skill jobs, like warehousing, call centers, admin stuff. Things that are pretty repetitive. A lot of that's getting automated now. Companies are using software, machines, bots to do those tasks faster and cheaper. That means, yeah, fewer people needed, which also means wages go down and more people lose those jobs. It's tough, especially for folks who, you know, rely on that type of work. But on the flip side, you've got the high skill roles, the ones that use AI, like data analysis, strategy, design. These jobs, they're growing fast, and the pay, it's going up too. But, and it's a big but, there just aren't enough people with those skills. So we've got this gap, and that gap's getting wider. That's where wage inequality kicks in. So for us, as a business, it means two things. One, we need to reskill, help people level up, give them tools to adapt. And two, if we're bringing in AI, let's do it smart, not just to cut costs, but to support our teams. Let AI do the boring stuff, and let people focus on where they really add value. That's the kind of future we should be building. So just to wrap things up real quick, we've covered a lot, I know. We looked at the economy, how to read the signals. We talked about trade wars and how they affect us, even if we're not directly involved. We dug into human behavior and why we don't always do what's rational. And we finished with AI and how it's, yeah, changing everything. Anyway, thanks a lot for listening. Really appreciate your time.